What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Mr. Harris, and I hope everybody out there had a Merry Christmas. Just wanted to make a video just to let you know how my Christmas went. Christmas was cool. As some of you know, I was born and raised in Philly, but I live in Southern California now. All of my family is still back in Philly, so most of the time on Christmas, obviously, I don't get to see my family. But Mrs. Harris's family is out here. She was born and raised here in California, so her mom and her brother and sister came over with their kids, my nieces and nephews, and it was cool. You know, we had lots of food. Kids were running around having fun. We opened presents. It was all good. You know, it was a real good time. Speaking of Christmas, I want to give I don't normally give shout outs in my videos, but I want to give a shout out to my Los Angeles Lakers, who beat up on the Boston Celtics on Christmas Day. I know some of you might be thinking, man, you from Philly, how are you a Laker fan? Or that you might be thinking that I became a Laker fan when I moved to California. Not true. I've been a Laker fan all my life. Being a Laker fan and growing up in Philly during the 80s, early 90s is kind of difficult to do for two reasons. Number one, obviously, Sixers and Lakers, you know, they had a little beef with each other back in the 80s. Lakers beat the Sixers for a title one year. I believe it was 80-81. That year, the Lakers beat the Sixers. And then the Sixers turned around in 82-83 and swept the Lakers for their title. So, you know, there was a little bit of a rivalry there. Dr. J, Magic Johnson, you know, that whole thing. Also, the second reason why being a Laker fan in Philly was kind of difficult is because of the difference in time zone. For me to stay up and watch a Laker games start at 7:30 on the West Coast, but that's 10:30 on the East Coast. Trying to convince my parents to let me stay up and watch a Laker game that didn't come on until 10:30 at night wasn't going to happen. So I had to check the paper the next day to see who won the games. Most of the time. I would normally give a shout out to a basketball team other than the Lakers, but I'm going to give a shout out to the Golden State Warriors, who the day after the Lakers beat the Celtics, the Warriors beat the Celtics. So shout out to Golden State for handling that. Also want to give a gas face to my nephew. I'm not going to say his name. Jalen Haskin. All you people out there that grew up in the 80s and early 90s, hip-hop fans will know what the gas face is. My nephew came over and was asking me, he's a big Laker fan also, asked me, you know, you ready to watch the game, Uncle Russell? And I said, yeah. I asked him, what time's the game come on? He said 5 o'clock. Now, I should probably share in half of the gas face because I should have known better than to trust information coming from a 14-year-old. He said the game came on at 5 o'clock, so I was ready for the game to come on at 5 o'clock. But at some point, right around 3:30, something didn't feel right. So I went upstairs, got on my computer, went on ESPN.com just to see if he was telling the truth about when the game was coming on. And the game at 3:30 had already started. Not only had it already started, but it was already halftime. So obviously we missed half the game, but went downstairs, turned the game on, watched the second half. Lakers went ahead and won, so it was all good. But lesson learned, don't take information from a 14-year-old. Check for yourself ahead of time. But other than that, Christmas was cool. I usually do call my family back east and talk to them on Christmas. I called my dad, talked to him, talked to my stepmother, wished them happy Merry Christmas, and so it was all good. Speaking of my family back east, I want to give another shout out to a guy from my hometown of Philly. I don't know the guy's name, but I read his story. I think it was Christmas Day or maybe the day after Christmas. It was a guy in a movie theater in Philly that shot a man in the shoulder because the man was in the row in front of him in the theater with his family during the movie, and him and his family were talking. They wouldn't shut up during the movie. The guy kept asking him to be quiet. He wouldn't be quiet, so he blasted on him, shot him in the shoulder. Didn't kill the dude, but still, you get shot that's bad enough. Mr. Harris doesn't normally condone, you know, people pulling out gats and blasting on each other and stuff like that. But in this case, I'm not going to say it's the same thing I would have done, but I understand. You know, you pay a lot of money to go to the movie theater. You want to sit, enjoy the movie. You know, by the time you get in, get drinks, get popcorn, all that stuff, you're looking at 20, 30, 40 bucks depending on if it's just you or if it's you and your family, whatever. You don't want to have somebody in front of you just ruining it by running their yap the whole time during the movie. So shout out to old boy from Philly. I understand you're probably going to be going to prison for pretty much the rest of your life because they're going to charge him with attempted murder. But he made an example out of that guy, and hopefully people will think twice now when they go to start talking in the movie theater. Christmas is also kind of a special time for me and Mrs. Harris because just a few days after Christmas on the 29th is when we celebrate our wedding anniversary. So that was last night. Today's the 30th. Last night we went out to dinner, went to Ruth's Chris, had us a pretty nice dinner, so that was all good. 8 years we've been married, 8 years, and so that was cool. Also, one more shout out. I want to give a shout out to my dad and my stepmother, who I'm actually a couple weeks late on this, but recently celebrated their wedding anniversary. I believe it's 15 years for them. So shout out to Pops and my stepmother. And just to give you an interesting story about my dad and my stepmother, I'm named after my father, so he's the original Mr. Harris. We have the same name. And it just so happens that our wives have the same name. Original Mrs. Harris and my wife being number 2. So sometimes when the 4 of us are together, when he's out here or when we're out there, and the 4 of us are together, communication amongst the 4 of us can be a little interesting sometimes, but it's always fun. You got 4 people, only 2 names, you do the math. I mentioned earlier in the video that we had lots of food at my house on Christmas Day. One of the things that we had was Mrs. Harris's world famous, well, it's not really world famous, but it should be world famous, gumbo. Now, gumbo, not really a traditional Christmas dish, but we do it not every Christmas, but you know, time to time we do it on Christmas. Or Mrs. Harris sometimes will make a pot for me on my birthday, you know, things like that. But I'm going to be uploading a second video right after this one, which is a video of Mrs. Harris making the gumbo. She made it on Christmas Eve night, the late night Christmas Eve. We always do it late at night. And I made a video of her making the gumbo. Now, many of you may watch this video and see it and say, oh, that looks easy. You know, it looks like something I might want to do. Let me give you a little bit of warning. That video is 10 minutes long, but it is 10 minutes edited down from about 4.5 hours. So that 10-minute video makes the gumbo look easy, but it's not. If you can see, actually when you watch the video, you'll see at the very beginning of the video when I hold my watch up to the camera, my watch says 10:30 at the beginning of the video. And then I kind of put the camera on the clock in the kitchen at a few points throughout the video so you can see what time it is. And you can tell that time is obviously going by, and it's about 4.5, sometimes close to 5 hours worth of work to make the gumbo. Also, there's music playing in the background on my iPod, and you can hear the music changing throughout the video. So look out for that video, for the gumbo video. That's going to be uploaded right after this video. And like I said, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and I want to wish everybody out there a Happy New Year. And as always, if you got any comments, leave them below. And like I always say, please hit the big yellow button right up here in the corner. Subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned to more videos from your boy, Mr. Harris. Everybody out there, have a happy and safe New Year. Peace.